All right, so let's look at the wide receiving situation. So last year, Kobe Hudson led the way. Auburn's leading receiver had 580 yards on the season. It was Kobe. Of course, he is no longer with the team. He's playing for Gus again. Do you think Auburn's leading receiver in 2022 will have more than 580 yards?
Wow, Zach.
I'm leaning towards no on this, Mike G. I'm leaning towards no.
Shedrick Jackson is back.
Jackson was right behind him with 527. And Demetrius Robertson wasn't too far behind him with 489. And John Samuel had a little over 400. So, I mean, those top four were within all 200 yards of each other. And so it was a little bit more of a spread out attack through the air. I think we'll see even more of that, honestly, in 2022, unless somebody just really, really steps up.
I'm leaning no, but only because I think we spread the ball around quite a bit.
Yeah.
I think the tight ends get even more involved this year. We have a great tight end room. Tyler Fromm, John Samuel Shanker, Luke Deal, and
Landon King, who's
right?
still only taking reps at tight end right now, which is a bummer.
Man, I think this is a great room. Lots of talent there, and they'll take some catches away from those receivers in possession scenarios where we need a first down and they can sit down in a pocket and just get a first down for their team. Those guys have great hands. I think Landon King showed a lot of promise. So I'm kind of with you. I wouldn't be surprised to see a receiver eclipse 580 because I think once you start hitting that deep ball and, a guy gets in the groove and starts having 100-yard games, it could have. I wouldn't rule it out. I don't think it's too far out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, I'm there with you. And then with the, you mentioned John Samuel Shanker, the leading tight end caught 413 yards. I think that goes up.
I agree. So,
if John Samuel had a 500-yard season, that wouldn't shock me at all. And he's changing his number into a number in the 20s. And so that's exciting, I guess. It's going to take me a long time to get used to it.
That's weird.
But I'm excited about it.
Did he say why? Did he say why the number?
I don't know.
Okay, all right.
I don't think he's talked to anybody since that happened. He came on my show, and then the next week that news came out. I'm like, I wish I would have waited to do that interview. But
yeah.
Oh well.
New year, new me.
Whatever.
Change the number.
Yep. Super senior John Samuel is like, no, 47. Forget that. But I'm there with you. Okay, so you think Shed Jackson leads the way receiving for Auburn in 2022? I mean, I think returning guys, it's definitely, he's got the most experience. Javarius Johnson's coming back with 274 yards receiving a year ago.
Robbie Ashford raved about Shed Jackson during our interview with him.
Okay.
So those guys have been out there throwing, and, we asked them who stood out. Now, I will say this. Watch out for Jay Fair.
He was in the 2 deep on Monday.
Oh, my goodness. Listen, the TJ Finley talked about Jay Fair. Okay. Robbie Ashford talked about Jay Fair. Another quarterback who we just talked to and shall remain nameless right now talked about Jay Fair. Jay Fair is impressing people this offseason. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to do in A-Day because they're going to spread the ball around a lot more than what we saw last A-Day. I think we see a much more effective, more organized A-Day this spring. I think that's one of the areas that the coaches will improve and grow. And so look out for Jay Fairman to come out of the pack and take some catches away from somebody.
I'm there with you. Tarvarish Dawson is an interesting name.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's a candidate to really lead the way receiving as far as yardage goes, but he has similarities in his game, in my opinion, based on, the very little we know about him from a production standpoint. But I could see him being similar to Kobe Hudson.
Yeah.
As far as role, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and we saw him in the bowl game get behind the defense, and we missed him.
Yeah.
But, you're talking about a guy who has speed. Take the top off of defense speed. And look for him and Malcolm Johnson to just kind of showcase that.
There it is. You haven't talked about Malcolm Johnson enough.
He's still my guy. Yeah. Malcolm is still my guy.
I was wondering because even last week, I forget what we talked about, but I remember asking you a question. I'm like, he's about to say Malcolm Johnson Jr. and you didn't. I was like, oh, has he moved on?
No, I've not moved on.
Malcolm Johnson Jr. No, you're still there. You're still there.
Listen, I texted Malcolm and I said, Malcolm, this spring is your
Malcolm,
spring.
I love you.
Yeah.
What you said?
He responded and he was like, who is this? Why are you texting me?
I still text is like, who thinks about me all the time? Who is this guy?
How did you get this number? I'm looking for him to show up. He's another guy that's been putting in the work this offseason. And these guys are doing not only in practice, but working privately, with position like private position coaches to try to get faster and stronger and get an edge this spring, man. And nobody's sitting on their laurels expecting anything to be handed to them. Bryan Harsin has made it very clear. If you want it, you got to come get it. And, the position battles will be, early and often, and you just got to prove it every day. So I'm looking for Malcolm to do that. I know he's been putting in the work, so I can't wait to see the payoff from all that.
Did you see, speaking of Harsin, did you see the video of the quarterbacks throwing at the piñatas? Did you see that?
I missed that one.
Yeah, I mean, the caption was like always competing or whatever, which is great. And, the team was like cheering him on and stuff like that. But Harsin was like just chilling on the sideline, like with his like hat backwards. And like, he is the coolest looking coach.
Yeah. We've seen a little bit of bro Harsin this offseason.
I think that's who he is.
He's a little bro-y.
Strategic in showing that more. I think that's what they're doing. And I am all for bro Harsin.
Yeah. We needed to humanize this coach.
Yeah.
To the fan base. I think that it was very impersonal last season. There was no emotional connection to him or his staff. And so people were hyper focused on just the results.
Right.
Because there was nothing else, emotionally to take the edge off. And I think they learned it was there. So this isn't fake what we're seeing. We just didn't see it. And now they've learned, hey, we have to show this side of it. Paintballing with his team. And, these guys that chose to stay, Zach, it cannot be understated. We were told by Brad Larondo that about 40% of the team was bought into what they were trying to do last year. That's a crazy low number.
Yeah.
And it definitely held them back. So when you get buy-in from everybody, that could be plus 1 to 2 games next year. Just having everybody bought into the process and what you're trying to accomplish, the way you're trying to accomplish it. So we saw people asked about the transfer portal. Why do we have all these guys in the portal? People were freaking out. Now our numbers were not odd compared to other SEC schools. They weren't. Ole Miss had way more people transfer out than we did. They had a much better season. And it was a mixture of NIL and then processing guys out, right?
Yeah, the number, a lot of it, and I mean, we'll never know the exact ratio of this, Mike G, but a lot of the players that transfer at any school it's either a mutual decision, and sometimes it's even the school saying like, hey, there's not room for you. Like
it's time for you to move on.
Yeah, that's a two-way street. And so don't always assume it's bad. I'm there with you. I'm there.
Yeah.
Now, I think Auburn should have more people coming in than they have. I think that's a fair critique, honestly.
Right. But Auburn messed that up for Auburn. So, with the offseason drama did not help in that regard. So now, again, similar, we were supposed to be moving on from year one. Who is this coach? Why would I want to go there?
Right.
That's why recruiting waned until late. We had a late pickup because you had a brand new coach and recruits were in wait and see mode about who Bryan Harsin is and what is it going to look like on the field. Yeah. So we were supposed to be moving past that, and I think a lot of the drama set us back a little bit. But now we're back to football again, and he's kind of in the same place he was last offseason. He's just got a team that's all the way bought in. So, once those guys start to speak up and on those recruiting visits, when they get paired with current players, and they can talk about, listen, we did, this is not your buddy, this is your coach. And he's going to challenge you and he's going to get the most out of you. And, Jason Campbell said during his interview with us last night, he said, man, every great player I ever knew wanted to be coached hard. They wanted to be challenged. They wanted to be told, you can do better. And I think we had guys on this team that couldn't take that hard coaching last year.
Yeah, and obviously you don't want that.